Thank you, Kevin, and it was good to hear those "so whats" from the back with reference to Mark. A slight correction in the bio or the tweak. If you know Hollywood and the Blacklist, that to be the top script in the Blacklist that's released every December is To Own Hollywood, and that's not the list I'm on, unfortunately. But that same group has started an online database for writers, most of them outside of Hollywood that aren't repped, where you can submit your script and upload it to their service, and they have readers that read them and rank them. And then they run this list of top uploaded script within that database that's part of the Blacklist. It's only about 3 months old, but if you do write screenplays, it's a huge door opening for people to get their materials in, and that's sort of the new tested back wing of the Steppenwolf Theater kind of thing where Trice is right now. So thank you for having me, Kevin and Ann. It's been a while since the early days of the Slam, and we're going to be talking about that as the second reader portion of this segment. So to get the dust off, I thought I'd do three pieces, and some of them harken back to those days, so you'll hear a reference or two. The first is called Consider the Rose. And there's never been a poet or a rose that didn't quite meet up and try to do something. And then I learned that there's a literary journal whose title is No Roses. So when you step into this territory, it's kind of hard to get a take on it. But here's my take. Consider the rose in these, the last dim years of the millennium. Consider the rose that sells for $1.99 at the Citgo station, resting between the holographic keychains and the canister of beef jerky. Consider the rose that is lofted through the mating dens and sports bars, hawked to some cheap romantic hook for the pickup line. Consider the guy sitting in that sports bar, sucking down Budweiser, one eye on the big screen, the other on a tattooed Guns N' Roses groupie. This guy is no horticulturalist of the heart, but for $3.50 and a wink at the flower peddler, he's suddenly equipped with a rose. There ought to be a law. This rose is no rose for my nose. What scent is left is lost under the cloak of cigarette smoke, the fumes from the gas pump, the diesel residue pooling in the low gravel corners by the highway stands. The rose of the 90s is plastic wrapped, sterile, or just plain fake, a symbol of the truncated faith and romance held by the generation, the just do it Romeos and the gotta have it Juliets, walking uneasily hand in hand toward an unknown, perhaps lethal union. A union too tightly folded by fear, never opening to the moment, never blossoming into a living, breathing transformation of possibility. A rose is the very scent of possibility, the shape of shapeless notions, the furled, coy keeper of secrets. A rose should not be some roadside saran-wrapped Twinkie for the heart. It is not a thing to be bought or sold. A rose should be plucked in the wild, for there is in its form a gentle wildness that rebels against commerce or convenience. A rose is to be won, to be conquered, to be had the old-fashioned way, to be earned and worthy of the most base and sublime urges of body and soul. For if you consider the rose, its sensual, fur-soft petals, its total embrace of color and hue, its regal tilt atop barbed and glistening greenery. If you consider its unfolded depths, the dark creases curved and moist with commitment, with the urgent sweat of letting go, you will find that a rose is the slow burn of love, not the hot adrenal rush of lust. And if you consider the state of love and lust in these, the last dim years of the millennium, you will find that, alas, a rose is a rose is a rose no more. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, here's a new one. Since we're talking about roses, Valentine's Day is just around the corner. Buy something here for Valentine's Day, maybe instead of a rose, or buy poetry, and give the gift of poetry to your significant other and the love of your life. This is a pre-Valentine gift to my wife Anne, with an E. We've been married 34 years, 35. I get a plus or minus one on the anniversaries. But this is called The River Anne. It is a river's song your eyes sing at first light. Like you, the river does not know its own beauty, nor does it hear the music created by the unpredictable bed beneath. As water through a willow's roots bare in the sunlight sings in quiet hiss-like breaths, then drops to gurgles in a low-chest voice as it glides by earthen berms, then pools in deep soulfulness and soaks meaning and history from the moist bark of beech trees. You shape the landscape of our day, cut canyons deep with the honest weight and force of a spirit true, and with your namesake, grace, the River Anne becomes a river through inexorable force, molten in the early hour sun, giving voice to light, to destiny, moment by downhill moment, exhilarating and urgent as dreams. Okay, the last one of the 8 minutes is called Somewhere Within Her Borders. And this story, this poem is based on a story that was filed on NPR by just a brilliant writer named John Burnett. If anyone's listened to All Things Considered over the years, he's based in Texas. And he did a story about the women in the Mexican town of Matamoros, just across the border from Brownsville. And this poem was inspired by his report. It's kind of a 4-act play in a poem, so there's 4 parts. I might be doing this with my fingers. This is 1. Somewhere within her borders, Amanda lies down to sleep the sleep of the living within the living, the heavy sleep of 2 hearts sharing the same blood. The sleep of the living within the living, the heavy sleep of 2 hearts sharing the same blood, the same destiny, the sleep of a child slumbering within a mother, stirring within a woman not quite ready to be honest with it all, not quite ready to confront the unknown country she is crossing into, even as she sleeps. In the morning, she wakes and packs her day bag for the quick cross-border trip. Amanda, you see, is a corporate counselor, blue-eyed and fearless, the perfect lawyer, the perfect woman, the perfect instrument in her managing partner's eyes for the task of delicate disengagement, of freeing the guilty from the guilt, of settling a certain lawsuit brought against a certain client by the mothers of Matamoros. Somewhere within her borders, Mary Sana sings a psalm of fear. It is the song of the matrons of the maquiladoras, the mothers of the miscarried, the misshapen, the children born with fist-like feet, with foreheads broad and oddly sloped, with jaws that click and lock under the strain of common laughter. Mary Sana's song holds no laughter. In a voice as round and brown as her drum-tight belly, she fills each room she enters with a hum-like, rib-stroking harmonic chorus of life within life, shadow within shadow, mother within child, so inward drawn is Mary Sana's song. It is a song of fear fear that her second child carries the curse of the first. In the morning, she wakes Paco San Luis, her 4-year-old milky-eyed son, and stares down the steady gaze of guilt. She cannot shake the belief that it was she who failed the almighty blessings of motherhood. That when she left her home for the factory, it was she who fell from the grace of the womb of the Virgin. Yellow dogs slide through dust and rolling tangles of children as Amanda rides through the back streets of Matamoros in a chip paint cab. She sees Mary Sana framed in a pepper green doorway, a wind chime dangling over her shoulder, the heat and dust rising around her. Her face is startling. Eyes the bruised black color of olives, lashes long and halo-like above cheeks, splatter-bleached by acid and electrolyte, and who knows what else splashes from the open drums she wheels each day through the factory in an old hand truck. The two women face each other across the border of a small wooden table, covered by a green cloth, the texture and smell of wet burlap. On this table, Mary Sana sets a plate of red beans, tortillas, and rice. On this table, Amanda sets a crisp white envelope. Inside it are a new home, running water, clothes for the children, a yellow blanket for the not yet born, music, happy Mexican music, Amanda tells herself. As Mary Sana reaches for the envelope, Paco San Luis pops into Amanda's lap and snatches it away like a new toy. He crumples the envelope, then snaps it taut. His fingers, all 12 of them, curl out of the broken back crabs that are his hands. In broken English, Mary Sana asks, "You work for the battery company too, see?" "Yes, they pay me for the job I do." Mary Sana's eyes drift down to her son and she asks, "Are you frightened for your children too?" Amanda blinks and hears the wind chime toy with the silence of her answer. Then somewhere deep within her, another chime sounds, telling her it's time to run, to the plane, to the limo, to the midtown curb and the soft descent into the sterile, air-conditioned silence of the law office. As words of well done fall around her, Amanda stares at her reflection in the office window, at her own now olive black eyes. Her managing partner pulls the slender stalk of a yellow jonquil from a cut-glass vase. "I understand you're going to have a baby." He snaps the stem and pats it into her lapel. "Congratulations." As the door clicks closed behind him, as the light presses in from the window, Amanda curls into her chair, pulling her knees and elbows in, drawing herself tightly inward toward a faint fluttering deep in her belly. It is the fluttering of tiny hands, of tendril-like fingers, pressing against the borders of a newborn fear.
Thank you, John. Kind of set the bar high for Valentine's Day. On behalf of all the men in the audience, thanks.